Warning.
Watch very closely now. 3, 2, 1. Bzow! Check that out.
The following podcast features terrible jokes.
You know you can use Hot Wheels cars when you need to make a saving throw in D&D? Every car is die-cast.
Usually about board games.
We want the fun. Gotta have that fun.
Must insist that no one attempt to recreate any joke performed on this podcast.
We had less technical issues than $1 million company.
All right!
This is Boards and Swords.
Hey there, everyone, and welcome to Boards and Swords. It's Monday night. My camera is really zoomed in for some reason. And this is a podcast. This is a podcast featuring bad jokes, good folks, and some tabletop gaming and its accessories. Gotta remember the accessories, especially tonight, because not only do we have my partner in crime, Mr. Philip Herbig. How are you doing?
What's going on, everybody? What's happening out there?
But we continue our look at various accessories, as you might say, over the past couple of shows. But we have Neal Hoffman from FanRoll here with us. How's it going?
Awesome. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, I had to correct myself earlier because I think even in the thumbnail it says FanRoll Dice, and it was like, nope, it's just FanRoll.
That's all right. Also, we're like Prince, right? It's the artist formerly known as Metallic Dice Games.
There we go. See? Fit that on a business.
And amazing beards. Hi, Jason.
Yes!
For those that aren't familiar with Metallic Dice Games or FanRoll, what was just kind of the quick pitch for them on your company?
So, FanRoll, we make really premium dice and accessories for the tabletop. And ultimately, I'm trying to become the Funko Pop of tabletop. So, if it has fans, I want to make shit for it.
Awesome.
Right.
We are. I'm all about that. But we will get detailed into some of the products that you do. I keep forgetting to put links in the description. Thank you, Rusted Beetle, for reminding me. I will fix that in the post. But first, we have some news.
News!
In this first story, CMON has done something to make their Kickstarter backers zombicide with them. And that is... Yeah, I know. Zombicide Maker will complete 2 failing Kickstarter projects from the Darkest Dungeon board game studio. So recently, Mythic Games had their last 2 remaining Kickstarters, Hell, The Last Saga, and I'm going to try and pronounce this. Anastyr?
I was going to say Anastyr.
Anastyr? They announced that so Mythic Games announced it can no longer produce and distribute either without getting additional money from backers. So CMON swooped in and said that they have taken over production and fulfillment of both projects on the same day. So we have to admit that this game, as it was conceived from the beginning, is especially difficult, if not possible, to complete with their current means, despite the enormous resources already committed, is what Mythic Games said. And then, of course, then CMON then pushed in, but they said it won't be easy. According to their statement on Kickstarter, upon careful evaluation, neither one is currently ready for production in their current state and will require substantial effort to complete them. We want to assure you that we are committed to delivering quality gaming experiences, and we appreciate your understanding and support during our development. It always sucks when you hear about the Kickstarters where they're like, you know what, we just can't do it, or they just like ghost you and your money. But it is always harrowing. So believe what you will. I know a lot of people don't like CMON for various reasons, like shipping and that sort of thing, or stretch goals out the wazoo. But it is always nice to see like when another company steps in, is like, you know what? We can take this over. We can afford to do this.
So. Love that. It's all those backers are not getting screwed over.
Yeah.
To me, that's a huge win.
Now, it's not... So the way it explains later in the article that they won't be getting everything that's promised, where it's each of the people that back the game will get the core box, for free and with no additional charges for shipping. But if they want anything else, they will have to pay and get shipping. So it sucks, but also considering that they're saying that the game kind of was not in any sort of place, I feel like it's like at least you're getting something, and it's better than that money just being off in the ether. But yeah,
100%, yeah.
yeah, it's one of those that, like, I mean, better than nothing. And I feel like Mythic Games has kind of shot themselves in the foot because no one's gonna back any more of their games.
No, you kind of get one chance to mess up like that, and once you do, you're done.
Yeah. some company can feel free to step in and make my Robotech RPG Tactics. Ooh, that's another. There's a guy at our local store that talks about that anytime that it gets brought up, talking about Palladium there. Mythic Games devolved into pyramid scheme financing for Kickstarter projects. Yes. Yeah. That seems to be an ongoing trend. There was another game, a company like Rivenstone, I think is the that was the game they made. I forgot what the game was called, or the company was called, where it was found out they were kind of doing the same thing, where it was each Kickstarter was kind of paying for the previous Kickstarter kind of thing, and it was starting to really hit them. But that's sad. But at least there's something good that'll eventually hopefully come out of this. All right. Robotech snap ships. There you go. Rusted Beetle's a big fan of snap ships, so Hoser 40K is pleading to the audience. All right, moving on. I tried boiling some crabs over the weekend, but I didn't tell anyone. When my in-laws found out, they were pretty steamed. I'm hearing groans from my wife in the back room. So, Guild Ball is coming back, and most of you probably are like, "What the heck is that?" So, Blood Bowl's soccer cousin Guild Ball returns with print-on-demand miniatures and releases starter set for free. So, Steamforge Games is a company that produces a lot of different board games, but one of their I want to say it was one of their first was a miniatures game called Guild Ball, which was kind of have this Bloodborne-esque kind of skirmish, assemble a team, and soccer, but you can kill the other opponent players, kind of thing. It was definitely one of those that got brought up.
It's interesting.
There was Blood Bowl that's been there forever. Philip, we played that CMON version that was like Chaos Ball,
Yeah.
and then there was Guild Ball. But around 2000, it was like right before or right around when the pandemic first hit, they canceled the game because it just wasn't profitable or wasn't worth making. But now they're bringing it back, but not producing the game. They're taking all the they're making free STL files for the base set that they had that people can go and use to print their own copies of the different guild teams, plus terrain, tokens, and even a measuring stick. So basically it says in the article here, this is everything that was sold in the original starter box. And then, so a lot of fans were kind of excited about this because it's at least, like some support for the game that they haven't seen in a while. And it's like, if you want to buy more teams or more tokens, well, now you just print them out if you've got a 3D printer. Or hey, even if you don't have a 3D printer, there are places that you can then go and pay for somebody else to 3D print. Or like our local library, you can upload files and have them 3D print it. So,
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
I found a lot of libraries have started doing stuff similar. So if you don't have a 3D printer and you're always been curious about some of these things, then look into your local library. They may have something. And it, like at ours, it's just like a donation thing. Like, so like every time I go print a couple of things, I like throw them $5 or something like that. But this is a trend that I have been seeing a lot, at least in the tabletop miniature space, is that people are finding that for a lot of smaller niche games, that like have a loyal fan base, but it's not big enough to do these massive print runs that are required to print these games, where they can do the development of rules and new teams and design stuff, and then just release the models on a website that then you can like either they're free or you pay for the STL files and then you just print them yourself. I'm finding that's becoming a lot bigger thing. Or you just go the miniature agnostic route, where it's just like, here's some rules. Use bite-sized Snicker bars for all we care.
Here's some rules. Use all those Titans you made for 40K and go play in the parking lot.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it definitely seems to be, and I mean, it does make sense because we've gotten into where, especially post-pandemic, where small but devoted niches kind of pop up everywhere, and you get like hardcore fan groups that, like I said, it's not worth supporting. You can't accompany. All right, cat, seriously, get. I'm in the middle of talking, the cat starts trying to bite me.
Yeah.
But yeah. So, but switching to these different types of models are a great way, or in a sense of keeping games from disappearing completely. Guild Ball starter from an Adepticon swag bag and gave it to a friend. No interest in sports games. And then Mantic Warpath Epic will hit Kickstarter on Valentine's Day. We know what Rusted Beetle's doing on Valentine's Day. All right. Moving on to our next story. I tried building a house with my nephew out of blocks, but afterwards he wouldn't let go of it. So, in the past, Lego has made board games before. I've seen them. I've gotten a few. Like there was that Creationary kind of game.
Yeah, that one was different.
There was a couple other ones. I found one that we had gotten at like a thrift store that was actually designed by Reiner Knizia, and I was like, wait a minute, what? But now they've teamed up with Asmodee. So Asmodee teams up with Lego Group for Monkey Palace board game, which will hit retail on October 3rd, 2024. So we don't have a whole lot of details yet, but we know, like I said, it's Asmodee and Lego Group. In this game, players work together to construct the Monkey Palace. They will vie for the highest brick income and points while the palace takes shape. The completion of gameplay results in a Lego construction that players can then display until the next time they play the game. The game offers a high degree of replayability, as the final palace will look unique at the end of each play session. Then you result in the cleanup where you have to disassemble it all back down.
No, forget that noise, man. This is Minnie's agnostic, okay? How many Lego sets do you have laying around your house? Just start pulling bricks.
Yeah, well, they need to sell a Monkey Palace refurbished kit that you can just like. Here's all the bricks, so you don't need like all the other components of the boards and stuff, or you can keep that. But then,
I dig this. It's getting younger people into board gaming earlier on, and using properties that they're into. For me, my kids have so many Legos, and nowadays Legos are just like model kits.
yeah,
And when we were kids, it was more build your own, and this feels like it's a little more build your own, which is to me cool.
yeah.
Sounds like I'll check this out.
It sounds like it over this past weekend actually was when they debuted the game.
It was the debut, yeah.
Yeah. So I didn't see any follow-up stories that showed it off, but hopefully we'll start seeing more details filter out. So.
Okay, so here's the timeline, all right? This is their first collaboration, all right? We're going to get maybe 5 to 10 more collaborations, and then Asmodee is going to buy Lego.
Nah, you forget what a powerhouse Lego is.
Okay, and Asmodee buys everything.
Sure.
Yeah, I think they do buy everything, but Lego's too big for even them.
Yeah, that's more of a. It would make more sense for Lego to buy Asmodee. Yeah, like that's more if one was gonna buy the other.
And if everybody from Asmodee is listening, it's spelled FanRoll, FANRO.
Yeah. Rustabito mentions using minifigs for D&D is a fairly used standard. That is kind of going back to that minis agnostic. I'm sure there's been people.
We could have Lego Star Wars Fantasy Flight Star Wars.
Or X-wing with Lego with
Yes.
It's like snap ships, like we were talking about, but with Legos, tiny little. They sell those. Have you ever seen those like $10, $5 kits? That's like basically like a big figure and like a little tiny. It looks like a pop figure Lego kind of thing. I think they're called like bricks or something like that. It's usually at like the checkout stand. But I just remember they make it's like smaller versions of like some of the bigger sets. But all right, moving on. If I made a list of all the jams and butters that I enjoy, is that a spreadsheet? Yep, there we go. Sci-fi MMO.
You couldn't preserve that one.
Oh, there we go.
There you go. EVE Online warps to the tabletop with massive 4X strategy board game. So, and the ongoing trend of everything you love on your computer is now on your table. There is a Kickstarter out right now from Titan Forge Games to translate EVE Online into a 4X strategy board game. Hoping to ship out boxes by the end of 2024. That seems ambitious.
Okay.
But play one of EVE's 4 factions, the Caldari State, the Galente Federation, the Amar Empire, and the Minmatar Republic, as they expand their empire's territory into the unknown reaches of space in search of ever-critical technology, valuable resources, and foes to break against their ever-growing armada of weapon-laden ships. So, the core space-themed board game will support 36 unique variations out of the box. Technological progress will unlock through a thick stack of cards will further kit out those vessels with signatures, abilities, and stats. So, will it be an alpha for 15 years too? Oh wait, that's Star Citizen. Hey, we have a friend that's I think doesn't Jason have Star Citizen? I think I've heard him talk about it before.
Star Citizen?
Yeah.
Starfield.
No, maybe that's what I'm thinking of. But I mean, this makes sense. Like EVE Online as a 4X game, it'll probably be the only way that I play EVE Online because I couldn't get into spreadsheets in space, as they call it. I played it.
How's it doing on Kickstarter? Do we know how it's doing so far?
I'm sure it's probably already funded, but let's see.
Oh, it is funded.
Where's the link to the Kickstarter?
Oh, there it is. Check it out on Kickstarter. There we go. I clicked the wrong link.
450,000.
Yeah, 15 days to go. So plenty of time for you to get your feel in. Yeah, out of a $53,000 goal, 450,000. Yeah, any of these video games that they already have, again, we're talking about dedicated fan base, they're going to gobble this stuff up. Like, even if they may never even play it, but they want to have it on their shelf.
Yep.
That is
Dice
a
are
lot.
A little lacking here, though.
Yeah, those are kind of like, eh.
I'll give some fun with these. We'll do some space versions, and we're gonna do some Starfinder dice this year. Yeah.
I would play spreadsheets in space only if they really were spreadsheets. Well, apparently, Neal, you need to talk to Titan Forge.
Yeah, apparently. They'll be getting a call. I think I have talked to them once before.
And our last story here today, I decided to take some land and turn it into a golf course. People complained that something about it not being laid out right. I don't know, something about it not being my property. So this was all over the internet, and like people, this is one of those that like a little bit of news got out and people flipped the freak out. Dungeons and Dragon Maker reportedly looks at Tencent to sell future video games like Baldur's Gate 3. This title's been refreshed because originally it was Dungeons and Dragons Maker looks to Tencent to sell Dungeons and Dragons IP.
Oh.
Yeah.
Update. Wizards denies rumors of IP sale.
Correct. Yeah, exactly. That was so like it was originally reported that that like, oh my gosh, D&D or Wizards is talking to Tencent to sell the Dungeons and Dragons IP. But like I said, there's a update in here that says we regularly talk to Tencent and enjoy multiple partnerships with them across a number of our IPs. We don't make a habit of commenting on internet rumors, but to be clear, we are not looking to sell our D&D IP.
Finally, this is something I can talk about and I like understand. So I used to work at Hasbro, and I love D&D. Yeah, when this story came out, I thought it was insane. No way that
Yeah.
Hasbro is selling D&D to Tencent. I mean, it makes more sense for them to license the brand, let them make video games, and then Hasbro keeps, milking the cash cow and, running the brand that they're really good at.
Because they make more. Based on the numbers I've seen, I would wager, and again, me knowing next to nothing, they make more money from the licensing of D&D than they do actually making D&D.
Oh, I bet that's true for sure.
Like D&D is more profitable as a brand than it is as a game.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, they're selling the books, but they don't do their own miniatures, they don't do their own dice, they don't do their own video games. It's all in licensing. I mean, that's the power of that brand.
Right. Yeah, so like when I heard this, I was like, there's no way. Like, and especially
no.
it makes sense now because, Baldur's Gate 3 came out and was a massive success. So, of course, they're going to want to try and, like, talk to other companies about what else can we get, what other kinds of games can we make. So, it definitely makes sense from a, hey, we were talking to them to see what we could come up with. But, yeah, it was definitely, and in case you're not sure, Tencent is just another one of those giant video game conglomerates. I think, did Tencent buy Epic? Don't they own Epic now? Epic Games? Because I feel like they own, like I feel like they own what's it called?
I don't know
Fortnite.
what Tencent owns. Oh, I don't know.
Quick Google.
Tencent has 40%. Sony has 5 and change. Guy named Tim Sweeney has 51.4.
Okay. So they own part of Epic. And they also own part of Larian Studios, which made Baldur's Gate 3. So yeah, there is. It's a conglomerate and holding company quartered in Shenzhen. Yeah, I knew it was a Chinese company, and they do a lot of other things. Okay, like WeChat and stuff like that. They do some of that. They're the world's largest video game vendor, apparently, too.
Wow. No, this was an educational show.
Apparently. They've teamed up with the Lego Group. We want to circle back to the beginning here. Oh, man. I was trying to see. Riot Games they own outright.
Ah.
That does like League of Legends and all that.
That's right. That's
right. Okay. I'm just scrolling through all the different like grinding gear games. Supercell. Yeah. There's a lot of like From Software. There you go. There's a lot of these. Oh, I didn't know they owned Ubisoft too. Okay.
Oh, wow.
There's a lot of them. Yeah, or at least that they've invested in. They may not necessarily own, but they've invested in companies because like Epic Games is on here. What would happen if Tencent and Asmodee got into a fight? Tencent could buy Asmodee. That's there's no doubt in my mind on that one. So, all right. That's that was news that got thrown all over the place and was really dumb. But
that's how rumors get started.
That is how rumors get started. Just like I mean, in the same boat, there was a rumor from a random website posted up that was like, Games Workshop is putting reorders from third-party stores on infinite hold in North America, and that got spread around, and there was on like some Discords and stuff where they were throwing it up, and people were like, "Are we not going to be able to get Games Workshop stuff from our local game store?" And blah blah blah. I'm like, this sounds like why? Like, yeah, sure, it makes you want to go buy it straight for them, but like that's not a good business move. Like, and sure enough, turns out it was from a website that routinely makes up stories like this to drive traffic to their website, and they just put rumor on it so that they can't be held liable.
Clickbait.
That's right.
Yeah, exactly. It's just all clickbait.
Let's see. You got to make sure you specify you're a parody Twitter account.
Yeah.
That way you can. Yeah.
Hashtag ad. All right. Before we get back to talking with Neal about FanRoll, make sure you check out our Discord, where you can find and suggest stories if there's something you want to hear us talk about and get our opinions on. Make sure you go to boardsandswords.com/Discord. You should also check out patreon.com/boardsandswords. And why is that, Philip?
Patreon.com/boardandswords, boardandswords.com/Patreon. They're both going to get you where you need to go. Right there, you're going to have access to, so Chris just mentioned the Discord. That's out there for everybody. Everybody's got access to it. However, there are super secret squirrel channels in the
Super secret.
Discord. What's that?
I said super secret.
Super secret squirrels. That's right. And they aren't suspicious at all. And we have, you know what? I'm gonna start posting in one of those just for the heck of it. Yeah, we'll do that later. But you get access to that. All right. At the higher tiers, Chris will dad joke. He will make some of the best worst dad jokes about your favorite games. Every time you put this game on the table, you will think of these jokes, and that's how your night's going to start off. Higher tiers, we had Boards and Swords D6s. They're great. They are weighted either 1s or 6s. You don't know which one you're going to get. Just throwing that out there for you. And then at the highest, if we can get enough backers, we're gonna get the old crew back together, the Dirtbags of Holding, and we're gonna play Dungeon Crawl Classics. Got that up on the screen there, ready to go, Chris?
No, because remember they took down the link.
That's right, they took down the link.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
Mutants of Castle Heartache.
I was checking their website because I was like, it is about to be Valentine's Day. I was like, I wonder if they're gonna make a new version.
Oh, if there's gonna be like a
But
like
no,
Love Mutant Child of Castle Heartache.
Love
That
Child.
would
with you'll see the guy here on the cover that looks just like Philip.
It looks, yeah, that's right. Even got that shiny spot on the head too. See, they captured my essence very well. All right, and that's what you get when you go to Patreon. Check us out, patreon.com/boardandswords, boardandswords.com/Patreon.
And yeah, for those
Back over to you, Chris.
For those in the chat, we did have some buffering going on, so sorry about that. But it is what it is. But in the meantime, I'm gonna
Stop trying to watch us in 16K. Okay, drop that down to 1080p, and you'll be fine. All right.
Yep, pretty
Or
much.
drop it down to 720i. You'll be better.
Oh man. So getting back to Neal, why don't you tell us about the company formerly known as Metallic Dice Games?
Yeah, so I got a kind of interesting background. I started off at Procter and Gamble, had a real job. I hated it, and I decided I wanted to spend my life making toys. So I went back to grad school with the sole purpose of making toys. And on my first day of grad school, I called Hasbro and said, I want to work for you this summer. I go to a top grad school. I have P&G background, and I don't care if you pay me. And it turns out that's a great way to get a job. So I went to
Specifically
Hasbro
that last
for 6
part.
years. Yeah. I worked on G.I. Joe. So the G.I. Joe 25th anniversary was my first real baby. I fell in love with this kind of collecting and geekdom, and worked there for 6 years. Left and went to Cincinnati. My wife moved us there, and I had this crazy idea when my son asked for an elf on a shelf. I said, "No, man, you can have a mensch on a bench." And I am the creator of Mensch on a Bench. I was on Shark Tank, and I've run that toy company for 10 years. Uh, and I got bored, to be honest, and I wanted to do something more fun and really sink my teeth into something. Uh, a friend of mine called me and said, "Hey, this company is being sold. It's called Metallic Dice Games. I think you could come in and really make a difference." So, about a year and a half ago, we bought Metallic Dice Games, and I had this vision of being the center of pop culture for the tabletop space. And we rebranded to FanRoll with the idea that if it rolls and it has fans, it's FanRoll. Uh, and it's crazy to buy a dice company because it's a commoditized industry, which means a bunch of people are going to the same factories, getting the same stuff, and trying to stuff it in the same channels. And what I wanted to do was really bring that toy industry thinking to dice. And that's, what we focused on for the past couple of years. We have some huge partnerships we've been putting together. Uh, and it's been awesome. The results have been great, and we have some huge, huge announcements coming out at Gamma in a month. But there's some other stuff I can sneak peek and talk about.
Nice. Yeah, that was like I feel like one of the first things that we saw, kind of the name may have gotten changed, but it felt like one of the first things that kind of reaching out product wise that I on my radar at least was the Misfit dice, the little, and we talked about them on the show. I think over the summer was when it was, but I like to call them booster packs of dice because that's what, at least my brain, that's how it came up, of like these are little packs of one-off dice that are all kind of poured into a bag, and then you can just have them by the register of just like, oh, that's pretty, let me buy that.
Yeah, I'll tell you, coming from the toy industry, we know that blind bags of anything are fun. And how do you turn a product into an experience? And when I bought the company, it turned out the previous owner had been hand checking every set of dice for 10 years. And if something wasn't perfect, he put it in this pile. And he was meticulous with it. And when I bought the company, I had literally 2,000 pounds of loose dice that with nothing to do. And he was selling them, at some conventions in clear bags. And people would see them and maybe pick one they like. And I said, you know what? We're going to turn this into a whole blind bag experience. So we created the brand that was all around misfits and adopting a misfit. We put out our first sets. We blew through them. And then we expanded it to do mini sets, to do resin sets. And we're going to continue to expand that to some new materials later this year. You'll see some cool stuff.
I think of those dice, the mini dice were my favorite. I think of
My favorite are the metal, but I hear you. When we go to conventions, I make people open them in front of me
mm-hmm.
and take them out one at a time, and you take out the 20 last, and they're always, so wowed by just the weight and the shininess, and it's really fun to turn a product into an experience.
So I'm just kind of scrolling through products on here. Like we were talking about Valentine's Day. Uh, there's some really neat stuff on here. Like I found these baby breath pink flowers. This is
Yeah,
pretty creative. You
we
got
have
a
candy hearts inside of dice.
significant other that's really into D&D here. I got some really nice looking. So it looks like clear resin, and there are those flower petals. Are those actual flower petals inside, or is
Those are
that just?
actual flowers, yeah.
That's really
Well, the
cool.
replicas of like actual flowers.
Wait, I have a
Yeah,
couple of those.
it's been really fun to think about how do you take this commodity and put different intellectual properties and brands and anything that people are really into. So we put together some really fun partnerships, whether it's with Dimension 20, with Not Another D&D podcast, so we are exclusively making all of their dice. We just made all the dice for BattleTech's $7 million Kickstarter. Uh, and that's just kind of the beginning of it. Palladium, all their Ninja Turtles product, uh, Paizo, Tales of the Valiant. I'm looking at my wall. Roll for Sandwich, uh, and then a few more giant ones that are getting announced at Gamma that should blow people away.
All right, now I have to bring this up. We talked about it before the show, but I need Philip. Have you ever heard of Roll for Sandwich?
I want to say no.
Okay, so you're gonna have to, because I feel like Philip's gonna love this. So you need to tell him what you told me about what, because I hadn't heard of it either. But apparently, it's a TikTok channel.
Oh,
So
okay. As soon as you said TikTok channel, yes, because the guy has lists and he's got different bread, meat,
yes,
cheese, condiments, all that. Yes.
yes. So he has a list of like 20 different breads, and he rolls a d20. And each day he has a different list, and he has different condiments and different, specials. So it could be a pickle and ice cream on pumpernickel, and then he gives it a name like the P&P, and then he rates it a 7.2. Uh, and the guy's hilarious. And for the first 6 months, I was reaching out to him with no response. And then as FanRoll has become a brand, he actually reached out to me on his own, and wanted to partner and wanted us to make his dice, which we're doing now. And I have aspirations of doing replicas of his lists so that people can roll and make their own sandwiches at home, just
Nice.
like he does.
I was gonna wonder, I was like, are you making like dice with the lists on already printed on the die?
No, I want to do dice trays that have the lists already put on
Oh, that's
there.
cool.
Ah.
That was one idea. Then we kicked around this idea of doing a board game for him, where you would get a sandwich that you had to make, and then you would roll your dice and try and get different ingredients. Uh, so one day, hopefully, he will let me do that for him.
Yeah, you were bringing that up before the show, and I had to bring it back up because in case anybody's like me and was oblivious to that had not
Oh,
crossed
you
my
gotta
radar
check it
yet
out.
on TikTok. Now I'm gonna get a ton of sandwich TikToks.
Yes, you will. Now that you've said it, put it out there.
Yeah. So what was it? So as far as when you bought the company, was it more of buying just a lot of assets and contracts along with it, or was there actually like physical locations that involved in it, or
Yeah, we have a warehouse in Fort Wayne, Indiana. It was buying a lot of inventory, um, and it was also the process by which we make the dice and have these relationships, and the distribution that if I wanted to go and create my own dice company, uh, it would have taken me probably 5 to 10 years to build out the distribution that the previous owner already had. So my thinking was if I could take my creativity and my partnerships and put some, these together, but he already has the channels to push out all the product. The hard work's already done. So that was really the thinking, and it's worked, right? And you take something, for example, like Hero Quest, right? Um, has an intense fan base. We started off a relationship with them, making product for them at Gen Con, and then making product for the Hasbro Pulse. And now we're talking about can we make unique SKUs and bring it out through retail. And as we talk, that's kind of the thinking is we don't do label slaps. Everything we do is thoughtful around the property that we're doing it for.
okay. So why don't you walk us through kind of the process of like how do you get the ideas that you have? Is it just more of like you see a product and then start inquiring as to, or kind of that sort of process is kind of what I'm asking.
Yeah, so I have a partner who is on the product side. He is my manufacturing guy, and I'm the idea guy. So something will happen where I'll get an idea and say, "Hey, you know what I want to do? I want to do Hero Quest dice, but I want them to have a misty type feel about them, and I want skulls on each end. Can we do that?" And then he'll be the one that says, "Yes, we can physically do that," or "No, that's a crazy idea." And for me, it's kind of inspirational, right? Just you're sitting around all day, every day, looking at different products, and then you see something, and it hits you of like, I can do that better. Is there something out there I can add some flavor to? I said like debut some new stuff. So, for example, we're working with Paizo and Pathfinder, which is a great property. It's a ton of fun. We just launched Goblin Dice, like mini Goblin Dice and Mega Goblin Dice. But here's, I was thinking about, can we do a dice bag for them? Uh, and I couldn't find a way to have a dice bag be new and unique and different than anything else that was out there that didn't just have a Paizo, logo on it. Until I came up with this idea. And this is
Whoa!
the Dice Goblin, right? So, you know,
Ah,
he opens up, he's got room for, 5 different sets inside. Uh, and this is the type of innovation that we're trying to bring to the table. And that's when then I reach out to my partner and I'll say, "Hey, I've got this idea. It's called the Dice Goblin. It looks like a goblin, but it eats your dice." And I had 2 ideas. It was like, could we do his full body or do we just do his head? And then my team will kind of go in and they're the ones who said, "Hey, you know what? We can do the zipper with the teeth and have it be cute." And that's how kind of everybody puts a little bit in the soup and then it ends up tasting good. So that was that's been a really fun property to start with.
And you can use that same outline, just change it a little bit, and you just need a Disney license, and you could have a Grogu dice bag.
Well,
ah,
we I'll show it because I think the behind the scenes stuff for me is super fun.
Oh yeah,
Uh, this was the original iteration of it. Uh, and we felt like it was too close.
yeah.
We were going for Goblin, but we kind of came out Grogu, um, and ended up, making these changes. If you see them next to each other, to
yeah,
try
yeah.
and make it,
Yeah.
the Paizo Goblin. Uh, you know,
It's the
the
eyes. The
eyes.
eyes is the big
Yeah,
yeah.
it makes
Yeah.
you would never think of that. This one kind of you could see, but this one you would never really get confused
Right.
with Grogu. So, uh, the Paizo team was super helpful in that, uh, giving us kind of feedback. And yeah, what else can I tell you
I
about dice
I
or the process?
I'm trying to remember because there's the liquid core dice. Is that was that
That's
new?
us.
That was I know, but I was trying to figure out when did that start because I know I remember picking it up at a recent Gen Con, but I was trying to remember if that was still when it was Metallic Dice Games or if it had switched to FanRoll yet.
So when it started, that was Metallic Dice Games. That was a really cool innovation that Adam, the previous owner, had done, and he did a Kickstarter that was over $1 million. And then by the time we bought it, it was our job to fill the Kickstarter, uh, but also to say, hey, can we bring these out to retail? And that's where my team kind of worked on the packaging and the branding, and the positioning, and bringing those out to retail. So that was one of those kind of hybrids in between the two.
Gotcha. Yeah, that was one I had not really seen before, and I was just at a Gen Con. And I just pick it up and like shake it. I had to end up taking a video because just a picture isn't enough to where you could actually like zoom in and see kind of the swirls moving around. It was super cool.
It's interesting that dice have been around for thousands of years,
Yeah.
and you would think that the innovation would be done, right? It's like how many six-sided die can you have? And the innovation in materials and size and scope is so amazing, right? I mean, we are now working on silicone dice that bounce. We are wrapping dice in certain formats so they look like they have dragon scales on them. We're
Ooh.
blending different silicones together to the different pride flags, is something we just announced. Uh, we're doing wooden dice, we're doing stone dice. So you kind of think, well, how much more can be done? But it's amazing. It's quite a bit.
Here, I'll give you an idea for free there. You were talking about your silicone dice that can bounce. You need to partner up with someone that can make one of them gumball machines. Because like I remember as a kid going to the grocery store and you would always get like the big bouncy balls. You know, you'd be like, Mom, can I have? I
Yep.
need a quarter to go. You
Mhm.
just need a vending machine that'll just spit out bouncy ball D20s.
I hate to say it, somebody's already doing the gumball machine at the Gen Con. At the different cons, but specifically at Gen Con, I saw that this year. It's a great idea.
Yeah, because I could just like I could see a game store just having that there of like, oh, let me put in $1 and get a bouncy D20.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, man, I might take that one.
I saw when I was cruising the website earlier trying to find. I saw this too, and this was really cool. It's a D&D club starter kit, and I thought this was genius because like I mean I've seen
Ooh.
D&D has gotten to that point where we've seen a lot of clubs at schools starting up where like when my daughter was in my stepdaughter was in high school, that was like they had clubs during lunch, and one of the clubs was a D&D club that she could play during like the second hour or whatever of their lunch, or 30 minutes. I'm not going to say it. Second 30 minute or whatever their lunch. I was like, "Oh, you got to do that." And of course she hated the idea, but just having
Yeah,
So
I'll
like
that's
tell you,
like one
D-
encounter,
yeah.
half an
uh,
hour. Come on.
really coming off of Stranger Things. I mean, obviously, there's been a huge resurgence in D&D with this kind of younger age group, and we're seeing a whole bunch of D&D clubs start around the country. And that was something we want to do. Is we have a bunch of schools reach out to us and ask us, can you tell us how to get started? What do we need? So we just kind of want this one-stop shop where each kid gets their own tray to roll in front of them. They have a tower that they can use kind of collectively. We put in, 6 different sets of dice so everybody can pick their own dice. A cool dice bag so you have one place to carry everything. The reaction's been really positive on that. So we're always happy to support schools, whether it's schools or colleges. There's a bunch of D&D clubs, and we love being part of it.
I don't know. I could see this dice bag here though. That's got the different pockets. I could see regular gamers wanting this just because it's like, okay, I'm gonna put my Star Wars dice in here. I'm gonna put my Fate dice in
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, that is one of our top selling items. It is a compartment dice bag. And it has 7 different pockets so you can keep all your different styles of dice. And the 2 we have now are space themed. So that's kind of like a nebula type pattern.
Gotcha.
We are just announced that we have a new brand that we're calling Dragon Storm, which is all dragon themed products. And we have a dice bag that's themed around dragon scales. So it'll be those 7 pockets, but it'll look like you literally just took it off a dragon.
Nice. I can't find. Where is it for people that are interested? Where is it located on your? Because I saw under the dice bags, it's just the 2 generic.
If you look up compartment bags, it should be there.
Gotcha.
Or nebula. It's I know one of them is the nebula bag. And if not, I'll tell the guys to make sure it's on the site.
But
I mean, that is from, we do have, 300 different items. So it is tough to try and figure out, make sure that they're all listed in the right place, but also that you're promoting the right ones.
Gotcha. Okay, here it is. The Goblin Bag of Holding.
Oh, the goblin bag holding I had some fun with. That was for kind of those true dice goblins. I put together a set where you could get not only the bag, but 7 different sets of dice, all for $75. So that was just like
Oh,
grab
okay.
it
So
and
this
go.
is like a bundle.
Yeah, the normal bag is $20, but for $75 uh you get it full.
Gotcha. Gotcha. That's pretty cool. And here you can. I was curious how it folded up because the other show the one didn't show how it folded because I was worried it was too shallow. But no, that looks perfect.
Yeah,
That's a very cool design.
I'll check in and make sure that we're in stock and that those are listed up in the right place.
Recipe of Fort Wayne is 3.5 hours from here. I can't let my brother get that close to that many dice.
Hey, we're always looking for somebody new in the warehouse. So if any of your listeners are in the Fort Wayne area, we are always looking for game geeks to to come work with us, and we pay both in cash and dice.
Philip starts packing his bag. Somebody has warehouse experience.
We'll take it. Come on down.
So what else have you got new come down the line? So you had mentioned some of those, like you had mentioned Critical Role. What kinds of products can you share that you've got coming out for fans of Critical Role?
Sure. So Critical Role are the one that we don't have. We are working with Not Another D&D podcast.
Oh, Dimension 20. That's what I was thinking of.
Yep. So for Not Another D&D, we just made this nice. One of the familiars is a duck, so we did this duck that is a dice bag.
Oh my God, I want it.
Hold your dice.
I don't even. I don't even listen to the podcast, but now I want to just because that duck is adorable.
It's really cute. Dimension 20, man, those guys are so much fun to work with.
They are. That's like one. That is one of the few D&D actual plays that I can watch, mainly because of just the production value, and the crew is really great.
Yeah, so we just did this for them, and this is, as I talk about how do you make things special, this is for Fantasy High. So first of all, the whole thing looks like a locker, right? And it's got a magnet on it. You open it up, and it's decorated like the inside of a locker, where it's got pictures of each of the kids pasted on the inside, and then we went and did a D20 for each of the characters.
That's cool.
And each, then they're painted with Hoot and Growl on the side. So it's really cool that they're sharp, they're nice, and that we did one, really thoughtfully for each of their characters. That's the kind of stuff where nobody else is doing. The fans truly appreciate it, and that's what's fun. It was what was fun on G.I. Joe. It's what's fun in this industry is when you really service the fans by thinking about what they want. Whether it's Dimension 20 with putting in the locker, or your Pathfinder fans that are saying, "Give me more goblin stuff," and you're like, "How about a giant goblin head?" The fans that really love what we do, it makes it so much fun and so rewarding. I love going to the cons and just talking with people. I mean, that is the best part of the job.
Nice.
Uh,
Are
we
those
have
just the dice that are in that Fantasy High? Are those resin dice? They looked like they were very sharp edged and.
Yeah, they're sharp edge. So.
Okay, I was just curious.
Yeah. Some other things we have coming out. We just released our Advent calendar. Those sold out, so we are looking at how we can expand Advent calendars in kind of new and interesting ways for next year. This year we did a set of dice, 6 reindeers, and then Santa and the D20.
Nice.
That was really fun. We had a metal one that had a snowman stamped on it. We have our pride-based lines, so we're having a lot of fun with both trays and dice themselves. We found that the queer community is over-indexed in this space, and we wanted to do a product that kind of said, "Hey, we support you," right? How do we be good allies? Our problem being, we're a company of straight white guys. So I ended up calling Tabletop Gamers, which is a nonprofit that is kind of helping bring inclusivity to the whole industry. And just had a conversation with them and said, "Hey, I want to do this. I don't want to pander. I want to truly, be a partner." And they helped me develop the line. A portion of proceeds are going back to them. So that has been a really cool new thing we're doing. We will be doing a line of items coming out around Tales of the Valiant, which is from Cobalt Press. Bring that to retail. We just did, I think it was 100 different SKUs of BattleTech, which was crazy for their Kickstarter.
Somebody's getting dice.
Yeah,
I'm definitely one of those BattleTech Kickstarter backers.
So their CEO, his name is Lauren, really nice guy, and we got kind of set up on a phone date, right? Where somebody was like, "Hey, you guys should talk." So we get on the phone, and I prepared. So I have all these pictures of BattleTech dice that we can make for him. I'm like, I really want to work with you. He's like, look, man, my Kickstarter, it's balanced, it's ready to go. I don't think I'm gonna do it. And then he like took a night to think about it. He's like, all right, I thought about it. Can you do 32 factions uh, and unique dice for each one? And I'm like, well, yeah, we can do anything, but you need this in 60 days. Okay, and you want prototypes and pictures? I was like, yeah. And we're a relatively newish company, and he's a big partner, so I'm like, yeah, man, we're gonna do it. And I tell the team like, whatever it takes, we're gonna get this done. We're gonna deliver it on time, on cost, and we're gonna be fucking awesome. The Lauren calls me back the next day. He's like, you know what? I thought about it some more. I want to do 64 factions. We had 32 last time too. And he didn't even ask if we could do it. He just said, I want to do it. And I was like, all right. So I went back to the team. I was like, hey, we're doing 64 factions. And then he saw the liquid core dice. He's like, you know what? I want to do liquid core dice too. And then he saw the trays, and he's like, you know what? I want to do the trays for 17 different houses. And by the time it was done, we had between 90 and 100 different SKUs that we put the whole thing together within like 2 months for him. And
Jeez.
it went great. I mean, he has the product. I believe it's in process of shipping right now. He was happy. We're happy. The fans are going to be thrilled. Uh, and our hope is that we'll just continue to build on those type of relationships. Uh, we're pretty scrappy, so I don't care if we're selling dice under our own name or we're helping somebody else make their dice. So whether it's Dimension 20, none other D&D, BattleTech, Palladium, which we talked about, just did Ninja Turtles. And same thing, they called up and they were like, how do you feel about helping us with some Ninja Turtles dice? I was like, awesome. I'm a huge turtle fan. So we went, and I think they ended up moving forward with 7 or 8 items. I think I created a dozen of them, and we had some really fun stuff. All the stuff I would have wanted, as a kid, I brought to life. We even did some bebop and rocksteady stuff. Uh, so it's been really fun to develop these partnerships and try and establish them over the long term. We've been talking to Evil Genius Games, great guys over there. We're talking about doing a few projects with them coming up here in the next few months that are really interesting. Uh, and I think our attitude is we say yes to anybody. So anyone that wants to work together, we'll do it.
There you go, Philip.
Yeah,
I threw
these
it up
came
on the
out
screen.
nice.
The TMNT dice.
Nice.
And this picture doesn't show it here, but
Go
there's
here.
even a
There you go.
shredder set that's all metal.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, and then we did a roll-up tray. It's a scroll, but the ends, it looks like the mutagen container that infected the turtles. So
Okay.
I
The
think
ooze.
yeah, fans appreciate that kind of attention to detail, right? Like I said, they're not label slaps; they're labors of love.
Gotcha. So some of these different products, are they going to be only available through these different? Has there been talks with the companies of like after these campaigns are done, like say with like BattleTech or Palladium and that kind of thing? Is there interest? Do you ever get interest about like this is something we want to stock on our website kind of thing?
Yeah, we definitely get that. It will, usually they want to stock it on their website, right? So of course we'll make extra product and they can sell. But then we have a whole channel going to retail. So part of the discussions we're having with people is, hey, we'd love to continue making these, and we'd like to distribute them and take them to market for you. Uh, and some of those can be complicated relationships because BattleTech, is licensed from Tops. Obviously Paramount has the Ninja Turtles license, so it's a whole sub licensing deal and it gets complicated. But absolutely, we have tons of interest in that, and we're trying to get creative in how we put some of those deals together.
Gotcha. Yeah, definitely. At least, at least with some of those, it's like, well, it's license of a license of a license.
Well, that's exactly what it is, and then you got to find ways to get creative and how can we do this so that everybody gets what they deserve, but at the same time you're not charging fans an arm and a leg for products they want. So it becomes a balancing act, but that's part of what's fun about it.
So, of the products that you've can talk about, which has been your favorite to develop?
I I mean the fantasy high with the opening and closing locker is probably my favorite. I mean, I absolutely adore that, um, because it's what we stand for. It's super high quality. Lots of thought went into it. It's a great value. Uh, so that's probably been my favorite. I really like the Paizo products we've done. Paizo has licensed out dice in the past, to some of our competitors, and the product is nice, but it's not super personalized. It doesn't have that wow factor that I was looking for. And when you look at, the one I pulled out earlier, and I'll here pull it out again. This tennis ball sized giant D20 with a goblin inside. Uh, it's something you want on your desk. You don't even want to roll it, right? It's just so beautiful. Uh, that's another that I've just had a ton of fun with.
Yeah, you just want to keep it on your desk and as a threat for to throw at players when they start going off track.
Exactly. The what I love about this industry is any idea you have, you can go after, right? And all the as we were talking about earlier, you get all these guests on your show. Those are all the same people that if I just call, they pick up the phone and they're really nice people. And I feel like it's a very collaborative industry. And as you bring people onto your show, I will talk to anyone about anything. So if there are people who are like, hey, we're making these miniatures, wouldn't it be nice if we had customized dice around it? Uh, Absolutely. That's the kind of stuff we're looking for. And we're looking to play, different types of materials, whether it's silicone, wood, metal, liquid core, um, anything that's on the tabletop between dice, trays, towers. We're incorporating black lights right now, which has been a really cool technology that we're just rolling out right now. So we're having a lot of fun.
Well, in my opinion, you could probably stand to not worry too much about wooden dice. There's no point in making wooden dice.
Yeah, I I think wood we were playing with doing a set, around a druid theme. No, we're not
Mm-hmm.
going to go heavy into wooden dice. I agree with you, but I think whether you're doing elven or druid or ranger, there might be something cool for some subset of people that find it interesting. But it's not going to be something that we, go too heavy on.
Yeah, we had a friend that was a co-host on the show for a while that he loved Western games, and a lot of his games would have like wooden dice, and so it became a point of contention. Is I hate wooden dice. They just don't feel
Yeah,
right.
no, they don't carry the same weight,
That's
right?
it.
You probably
Yeah,
won't.
that's mostly it. Yeah, they're too light.
You probably wouldn't like silicone dice either, right? Because they're very light.
Well, except for I can throw
I,
them at people.
Yeah, that would be the
well, that's true.
novelty of being able
That's
to.
true. But I like a good metal die. I like the sharp edge dice that we have. I like a good pointed edge on a D4 personally.
Yeah, I've as someone that grew up using a lot of like Chessex dice as like their first sets of dice and stuff, and then now you get to get into more of the artisan dice, I guess is more of the way
Yeah.
of calling it versus like your kind of mass market dice. Um, yeah, the sharp edges and the clear rolling is really nice. Um,
Yeah, we're adults with disposable income now, right?
yeah,
And we're allowed to get nice stuff for ourselves. And dice are one of those things you can.
yeah. I
You know,
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, so I think that's what's so fun is you have these adult collectors, and we've worked hard our whole life so that we could, go to the arcade with $20 and play as many games as we want because we couldn't when we were a kid, or buy those nice set of dice instead of, you know, the stuff that you didn't want. So
Yeah, my wife still is boggled by the fact of this past year at Gen Con was the first year I finally decided I had passed their dice for the longest time. Dispel dice. You've
yeah,
probably seen them, but there's a red set that they have that I had seen forever. It's like, especially the way that their booth is presented, like a jewelry counter and stuff,
yeah,
to
yeah,
where
nice.
I was like, all right, this year I'm finally buying. It was like $70 or whatever for dice, and my wife's like, you spent $70 on dice, and I'm like, if you only knew that that's actually not bad when it like
No, it's really
in
not.
the realm of dice, that's not bad.
I would say so. Gen Con has been so much fun. That has been eye opening for me. Uh, so 2 years ago, we just bought the company. We made some exclusives. They did okay. And then I came in and I said, look, we're going to do Liquid Core as our exclusive dice. And then we're going to do a Genevieve where we're going to do the dragon head inside uh, the inclusion. And then we're going to do free mini dice with purchase of any exclusive.
Oh
And
yeah.
and we made I think 300 to 350 depending on the price point the previous year, and it lasted us all Gen Con, and it gave us a couple months worth that we could sell on the website. We sold a little bit, um, so we were looking at doing the same number, and I was like, maybe we need more. And my partner's like, you're not allowed to buy more. Look, we did this number last year. Your marketing's better, your product's better, but fine. Uh, we sold out in the first 3 hours.
Whoa.
It was I mean, it was a pleasant disaster,
Right.
right? It's exactly what you want to happen. So this year, the product is even better than what we had last year. I'm really excited about it. Uh, and we are making twice as much. So still not making a ton, but we should be have enough to get us through Gen Con. And it's gonna be a ton of fun. We have 3 booths at Gen Con, so
Oh
we
my
have the
gosh.
most booths out of any company at Gen Con.
Wow. Because yeah, I imagine, just thinking in my head the past couple. I imagine the 22 may not have been big just because that was still like we're coming out of COVID. But last year was definitely like the Gen Con's back, baby. Like, it was the most people that they had. I think it was their highest attended Gen
Yeah.
Con. So I
It
feel
was
like that might
wild.
have had a big impact on on those sales.
Yeah, I mean, it was wild. Our marketing was better. We did a better job getting the word out of, hey, we have these dice. And I'm on some of the chat rooms, and some of the fans were like, these are going to be gone in the first 2 hours. And I was like, nah, you're going to be fine. We got enough for 4 days. I was like, but just in case, like, just for the fans of, some of the groups I'm in, I'm like, I'll put a case aside just in case. Come find me, mention that this group, and I'll take care of you. And I'm glad I did, because they were right. I was wrong.
I mean,
Can't be
it's a
right about
good kind
everything.
of wrong though.
Yeah, no, it is. It is.
At some point, it's like, do I need to start like a sign up list to like make more
Mhm.
a
Yeah,
waiting list?
there's something so cool though about you get one shot at it, right? And if you don't get it, you don't get it. And that rarity index, the chase factor. And I think if we went back and we made more, it would be a little bit disrespectful to the people who were falling over themselves trying to get the original sets.
There's that splurge purchase.
Yeah.
All right. Well, why don't we? I think that's plenty of dice talk for one night. Although I'm sure we could probably ramble on for like another hour of just talking about different dice. But if people
100%.
want to keep track of what you've got going on and what all the new products, where is the best place for them to check out?
Yeah, FanRoll Dice is where we will put everything up. ICV2, the newsletter, we put everything out with them. And I will say that in 30 days at Gamma, we will be making some big announcements um, that will be, I would say for our company, life changing. In the grand scheme of Dice World, maybe not life changing, but they're huge. huge for us. We're changing the way we do business. We have some huge partners, and like I said, we don't believe in label slaps. So the approach that we're taking on some of these is going to be awesome. So thank you guys for kind of being with us so far, and wait until you see what we're going to do. It's going to be awesome.
All right. Well, I think it's time to roll that beautiful bean
All
music.
right. Well, thank you guys for having me.
Of course. That's been our show, everybody. We want to thank our guest for putting up with us and talking about dice. If you like what we're doing, you got to check out the Patreon. Support us. Also, check out boardsandswords.com. It's got the list to where we stream, when we stream, and it also has some of the old stuff we've done in the past. You can see how we've grown.
That's right. And send us feedback. We love it. Feedback at boardsandswords.com. Let us know if there's people you'd like to see on the show, that sort of thing. Or you can join the Discord, like we said, boardsandswords.com/Discord, and let us know in there. Also, you can we're on Facebook at Boards and Swords Pod, Instagram at Boards and Swords Chris. All other places. Boardsandswords.com. That's where you got to go. That's got everything. So links to everything, such as our Patreon, we already mentioned before. But check it out and help support the show. And we'll be back in 2 weeks with another show. We've got Xander from Fantasy Flight Games on. He's going to be talking about the new Star Wars Unlimited CCG they've got coming out soon. So that's not going to be one you're going to want to miss. So in the meantime, remember that every gamer has a story, and this one rolls. Or we're fans of it. There we go. That's a bad one. That's a better one.
There we go.
There is a story, and we're fans of it. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night, Cincinnati.
All right. Awesome.
Thank you guys for having me.
Thank you so much for being on the show.
Of course.
So
And likewise, I mean, if you talk to anyone that you think we should talk to, and there could be a potential partnership, we're looking to make friends in the industry. So I'll talk to anybody about anything, and if it works out, you get a lifetime of free dice. So
all right. Well, I'm gonna stop the show here. Stop the stream here. Thanks everybody for tuning in.